Okay, guys, so the internet has really grown to dislike Tony Buzbee, and I don't think it has anything to do with the Diddy lawsuit, but rather that time when Buzbee tried to trick the internet into believing that he was barred to practice in the Southern District of New York when he was not barred to practice there. If you guys remember, after Buzbee was filing the bulk of lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs, and he went for JayZ, and JayZ was the one that gave him that real good fight. And I told you guys that Buzbee was not gonna be victorious because you could literally see that the allegations, they were laced with lies. You can file a lawsuit in court without evidence. It just needs to be plausible, and you just need to have a good attorney. Buzbee filed a bunch of lawsuits in the Southern District of New York. He was supposed to get a sponsor, and he was supposed to notify the court. No, he did everything in reverse. After filing them, he got the sponsored, and after filing them, he noticed the court, and he basically put someone else's license at risk, right? Remember that female? And then that female got feisty with the court, and I was like, oh my God, the judge is about to sanction her backside. And exactly as I said, the judge was like, lady, you know better. This can result in you losing your license to practice. And you're giving the court such a response. Not the exact words, but the exact framework. And she had to apologize to the court because what she did and what Buzbee did was definitely not the route to take. Being seasoned attorney, the court would have educated a younger attorney on the matter, but for seasoned attorneys, that is something they knew better. And when it was revealed that Buzbee was not barred to practice in the Southern District of New York, he posted another approval that he got for another courtroom in New York, trying to trick the internet into believing that that was him getting the approval to practice in the Southern District of New York. And the internet was like, come on, dude, we're not slow. You're dealing with the internet. We are all not attorneys, but at least we know that there are some really sharp people out here. And then people were just over and done with Buzbee because the internet was like, if you're so, desperate to pull a fast one on the internet, what else are you lying about? No. After, that lawsuit that he filed against JayZ, the VMA Bandit lawsuit, he then went for JayZ, saying that JayZ was paying former clients of his to come at him. But then I picked up one of the former client of his lawsuit, and when I read the details from his former client, I'm like, no, this is not JayZ paying someone, because the former client was saying Buzbee won the lawsuit against the company that he was working for. The company deposited the funds to Buzbee's account. Buzbee was loaning him money and telling him that he had to pay back with interest. And the guy was saying, how is it that I'm supposed to pay you back something that you owe to me? And I was like, when you see, there's one thing that never changes, and that's authenticity. The most natural and authentic frequency is authenticity. When someone is right, or when they're speaking the truth, that channel never changes. It doesn't need another story to defend itself. It doesn't need another story to protect itself. It flows naturally, and it flows consistently. JayZ's story was the only consistent story. Buzbee and VMA Bandit's story consistently changed. The gate that the VMA Bandit described, based on HOA regulations, could not have existed in the state of New York, according to the VMA Bandit, as to the VMA's after party. Based on HOA findings, such house could not have existed at the time. And there were numerous things that completely dismissed the case. Her alleged witnesses were in another country, and there were evidence of the alleged witnesses in another country. The alleged accused, they were in other locations with other people, and there were evidence of the accused being in other locations with other people. So as such, there were so many numerous inconsistencies, and it was later discovered that the information that the Ava law firm sent to Buzbee was not what Buzbee had used. He had definitely made some changes from what the Ava law firm has sent over. So with what is reporting today, as it relates to the legal war between JayZ and attorney Buzbee taking another turn, and this also includes Roc Nation, right? The Texas judge has dismissed all claims against JayZ's company in the lawsuit brought by two former Buzbee clients, and it was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. Now, what does it mean when it says a case has been dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, right? What it means is that the court has decided that it does not have the legal authority to hear or rule on the matter. The jurisdiction is basically the court's power to decide a case, and it can be missing for several reasons. No, we're going to go through some of them, because some of them are simple things, some of them are technical. One of the most simple thing is like federal versus state jurisdiction. Some cases must be heard in federal court, others must be heard in state court. Personal jurisdiction. The court doesn't have the authority over the person being sued, often because they don't live, work, or have sufficient ties to that state or country. No. Where does JayZ live? LA. He doesn't live in Texas, right? No. So other reasons include subject matter jurisdiction. The court doesn't handle those types of cases. So it could be that the case was filed in a family court, and oftentimes attorneys, when they know the case is not good, or when the individual knows that the case is not good, but sometimes they want to use these people for like attention. They want to trick the crowd into believing, oh, I'm going to pull a fast one on JayZ and Roc Nation. I'm going to smear their name, their image, and reputation. I'm going to go ahead and file this case in a family court, even though the matter is not a family court matter. No, these individuals, if they were paying attention, they would know that JayZ does not play like that. JayZ does not roll like that. JayZ is a big boy. You know that song, You Want to Chill with the Big Boys? So, these mother, you know what, who thinks that they're playing, or they believe that JayZ was playing, and JayZ told us literally a few weeks ago the end results of this case. He says, the next time you put my name in your mouth, you're gonna have to pay for it. JayZ's coming for all of these people and he's not playing. And I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. I believe that when it comes to an individual image and reputation, in certain stance, it's not something that you mess with. It's not something that you play with. JayZ, we all know, no innocent Abby, but at the same time, because JayZ is no innocent Abby, does it give you the right to be his judge, jury, and executioner? Absolutely not. And if you think you're that big, if you think you're that tough, and you want to play that rough, JayZ's the right one that these individuals have picked on. So, like, it sucks to suck, but JayZ's coming for everything that they've never had that they're gonna have to either pay for or do time behind bars. Because I'm a firm believer that when it comes to an individual image, there's some things you just don't do. Saying that, you know what? The streets are alleging that JayZ is dating this. The streets are alleging that this has happened. Saying that someone outwarded someone, right? And then after, putting that out there as an attorney without doing your legwork and then saying that, oh, the same person that I've accused of outwarding someone is paying people to go after people, right? At first, I was like, you know what? This could be true because I could see the same pattern with Kanye. And at first I was like, this could be true. But then looking at the VMA Bandit lawsuit, and then after I read that one guy case, like I read one case and there were so many things in that case that said to me that Buzbee loves to play mind games, but he has picked the wrong person to play mind games with, and JayZ's gonna take it to him in ways that he's just not ready for. Fast forward, I can say, like as per usual, I called it again. I'm yet to be wrong on any of these cases. I've called it on every single case, like all of them, and they all have turned out exactly as I told you guys they would have turned out, right? No, we're gonna continue because they're saying that the case by Buzbee former clients, they have been dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, right? The litigation involves claims rocnation and lawyers working with JayZ Camp improperly targeted Buzbee clients have been followed from the Diddy scandal and later allegations involving JayZ. Remember this guy who said that there's this man at his door and the man is basically saying that JayZ sent him? Remember there was another one who claimed that he was paid something like $5,000 and the person is tied to Marcy Ventures. Another one alleged that the person was tied to Roc Nation. Yeah, this is where we're at, right? So, the lawsuits were among several legal offshoots spawned by the escalating feud between Buzbee and JayZ's team after Buzbee filed a now withdrawn lawsuit that included claims of sexual assault against the rap mogul. JayZ denied the allegation and aggressively fought back, claiming Buzbee I'm not sure this is worded properly. I don't think it is. But what they're saying is that JayZ denied the allegations. He fought back aggressively. And he's saying that Buzbee claims and allegations against him, they were false. And he launched multiple legal challenges against Buzbee in retaliation. That's what they want to see right here. But I think the wording, they were trying to get the report out, and sometimes a little typo does exist. They're saying no, a judge ruled the state lacks personal jurisdiction over Roc Nation and dismissed the claims against the company. The ruling does not address the merits of the allegations, okay? It's just that courtroom it was filed in does not handle those cases, so as such, they can refile elsewhere. They can go to New York to file, but Buzbee, who's going to represent Buzbee, would have to get an attorney, or they can file in LA. They're not going to want to file in LA because the state of LA protects business people, because there have been so many vultures that have been going after business people in the state of LA, so much so that you can't say this businessman, this movie star did me wrong. For the state of LA, you have to have something wherein it ties to the possibility. While you may not need to have the evidence, you have to have something that ties you to the possibility and tying the person to the possibility of them doing you wrong. So this case is not going to go anywhere because LA doesn't play these little petty games. No, they don't. Buzbee, he has ruined his image in Southern District of New York. Maybe there's another courtroom in New York that he can take his chance in, but New York is not looking at Buzbee. Buzbee has killed his own image and reputation. No one believes in him. Very few people still has respect for him. But when I was telling you guys about Buzbee, right, I had a lot of falling out with a lot of people because you guys tend to forget that I'm Miss Cleo. I don't know why I love to joke about that. But guys, when I tell you that I have a good eye for these things, and when I call these things, I tell you guys that I'm yet to be wrong. I haven't seen where I have been wrong as yet, and the videos are there to document it for themselves. Like, the videos are proof to it. Anyone who has been tracking the videos would know that I told you all none of these things are going to get anywhere. And here we are today. Because I said, Buzbee has been playing, a lot of games, and a lot of people in the industry, they've heard about Buzbee and the other one. I'm not even going to call his name at this point. I'm going to do him a favor because he's in far too much trouble legally. But I'm going to say this to you guys. Remember that you can literally bring any case in front of a judge. You don't need to have evidence. It just needs to be plausible enough. It just needs to make sense. And ensure that when you're bringing that case in front of a judge, instead of using a half-ass attorney, use one. Either you're going to get a loan, start a GoFundMe, or represent yourself in that courtroom, because these washed-up attorneys, they don't care about you. They only care about lining their pockets. But hey, another one for JayZ, as Khalid would say, and another one for me. I called it once again. And that's all I have to share in this video with you guys. We're going to talk some more in the comment section. Peace.